Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining another session of Lunar Sessions with me. Today, I have a wonderful guest by the name of Dan Shaw. She is a co-founder of a new company called Escape Arc with a gentleman in LA called Carl Hitchborn. They are both on a mission to build the biggest and fairest music company in the world, and in doing so, creating a brand new music industry. Thank you, Dan, for joining us. Say hello to everybody.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for having me, Tam. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan. You also were part of the inspiration behind this. I've watched yours and Carl's podcast, and I love what you guys do. And I've wanted to do something like this for a while, but thank you so much for helping me build it and for giving me ideas of how you guys do it and jumping on this call with me. You are part of the Women's Month edition, so we're doing a whole bunch of women for August. So thank you so much. So basically, I wanted to just dive in. Obviously, I've introduced you and I've introduced Carl. So I want you to just tell us a little bit about Escape Arc and Carl and your whole relationship with him.
Awesome. So I think the best place to start is just by telling everybody a little bit about who Carl is and what my relationship to him is and how we met. And then I can talk a little bit about Arc. So Carl is from the UK. He's from a small little town called Norwich, and he used to be a baker, and that's why he's called the Baker. And he basically took a band called the Hunter, a UK alternative rock band, from never having released a record to selling out 2 back-to-back Brixton Academies, which is 5,000 capacity venues, within 18 months of their first show, which has never been done in the history of ever. And he did it using non-traditional music industry practices. Carl's also been using Facebook ads since the day that you could run ads on Facebook. He's got an amazing background in like technology and software, building software and understanding sales processes and whatnot. But yeah, he's just a remarkable individual. He's a visionary. For me, I regard him, he's like the next Steve Jobs of the music industry, if you could put an analogy on it. But yeah, so the reason that I met him is when I was living in the UK, I was directly impacted by the ad campaigns that he was running for the Hunter. And I just kept seeing it everywhere. It was prolific, and it was just everywhere, omnipresent, as he's taught you about that word. And it was just amazing content. I'd never seen anyone put so much care into a campaign before. And I understood that I was also going through some kind of a funnel. Like I wasn't seeing the same content over and over. I was going through a journey with this band. And although I don't even like that music, it was just always in my face. And so I decided to check it out. And I wanted to know more about the company behind the Hunter, who was actually promoting them. So I looked it up, but obviously I couldn't get in contact with them. And I remember the moment very vividly. I sat on the bed and I was like, please, God, the universe, whatever I do from this moment forward, can it please align me with this guy? Because I know that he's doing great work, and I know that I have a bigger purpose to fulfill. And if I could get in contact with him, I would do anything to keep my spot, And about a year later, I saw an ad for his book. Buy my book, Zero to Record Breaker. How I took the Hunter from zero to record breaker. And I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is unbelievable. I printed out his book. I highlighted everything. I messaged him. I was like, you have so many spelling errors in the book, and I apologize if that's offensive to you, but I love the work that you're doing. I saw the campaigns that you ran, and it's just unbelievable. So he listened to some of my music. We got on a call. And initially I had approached him from like the perspective of working with him as an artist, because I sing. And very quickly, literally on the first call, I said, the idea of fame does not appeal to me at all. And I don't actually know if I want to be an artist and be dictated to. I love music, and it's kind of like people who like cooking. I didn't want to lose my passion for it by becoming a chef. I didn't want to do a full-time career in music. However, I've always loved music and loved working with artists, and I really feel like art makes a huge impact on many people. I mean, everyone in the world loves art, whether it's music, whether it's writing, whether it's TV, the list goes on. But art literally it's an expression of who we are as beings. And so fundamentally that's kind of where this whole journey began for Carl, because he wanted to make more of an impact. So anyone who wants to go and read his book, because it's really it's inspirational, and it won't take you more than an hour and a half to read. It's called Zero to Record Breaker. I really recommend you go and check it out. But so yeah, that's where his journey started. He said to himself, like, where can I make the biggest impact? And he said, well, music affects everybody, it touches everybody, and he wants to be able to reach everybody in the world. And so he had all of these principles, these business principles that he said, you know, he went into the music industry about 11 years ago, and he tried doing it through the traditional music industry, and he realized how fucked up it is. Can I swear on this podcast?
That's fine, yeah.
Okay.
That's really cool.
I've asked you that before. But
okay.
anyway, yeah, he realized how messed up the music industry was, and he was just like, it goes against my values, my moral ethics. I'm not going to operate in this way. So yeah, going back to the story of how we connected. So after that first call, I said to my mom, like, I need to go to LA. Like, I need to go and spend time with this guy. I asked him if he would be prepared to mentor me, and he said he would, which was astounding to me. I also didn't know if he was full of shit or not, you know, but I didn't really mind, because I was like, I'm going to LA for 6 weeks. So I booked my ticket about a week and a half later.
Jeez.
And at the time I was studying sound and audio engineering. So I finished that, and on the 4th of December, I flew over to LA. I was supposed to stay for 6 weeks. I landed up staying for 3 months.
Yeah.
So like, it just goes without saying that Carl wasn't full of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, he is, but you know what I mean?
Different kind of full of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We developed a very deep bond, and we have a lot of the same principles, and the way that we view the world and people and art in general is very aligned. We're just very aligned in that manner. And for me, he's just the ultimate mentor. You know, like, I feel so blessed every single day that I wake up knowing that I've got that guy by my side, you know. He's got the most beautiful family as well. I always like to mention that so people don't misunderstand our relationship. We are business partners, but we're also friends. And his wife, Georgina, and his 2 kids, William and Ruby, they're just the most amazing, tight-knit family, and I adore them. I don't know if I've answered most of that question of, like, how we met.
No, and I think it's important to bring in everything and why you're working with him, because I think with what Carl's trying to do, it's big. And anybody who reads his books, a lot of people might underestimate it, or think, as you say, he might be full of shit or whatever. So I think it's important for people to know that's not the case. I mean, I've met Carl over Zoom. We've had great conversations. He is very much the believer of growing people and people learning and having the right attitude. So I think it's nice for everybody to hear, you know, there's legitimacy to the whole concept. And I think that's why I wanted to get you on the call during Women's Month, and we'll definitely have Carl at a later stage. But I just wanted to, because I know that you guys have got some really cool launches happening soon, and I just wanted to introduce the concept, because I think for not only just for musicians here in South Africa, I'm surrounded by them. I work quite hectically in the music industry here. So I want people to see that they must get his content, because it's amazing. It's amazing for anybody in the industry, whether you're an artist yourself, or if you work part of an indie label or a big international record label. I think it's time for people to start evolving their mindset in the music industry. Exactly. And I think Carl's doing that. And I can't wait for everybody to hear his story and, you know, everything that you guys are doing with, it's called Escape Arc. Okay, that's the new official name.
So the new name, the strap line is, we're building the biggest and fairest music company in the world, and in doing so, creating a brand new music industry where artists don't just survive, they thrive. That's the strap line. But that's one part of Escape Arc. So the whole Escape Arc is, we want artists to be able to escape. I feel like I need to explain the ark part, because it's like kind of like Noah's Ark. It's got nothing to do with religion. It's just more like, you know, if you want a new way, a new path, you need to jump on board to the new, you know, way of the future. I don't know. That's like the, oh man, like the car, the vehicle that's
Okay.
going to drive everybody.
Okay.
And then the escape part, it's Jamie Mustard, this guy who wrote a book called The Iconist. He's busy like rebranding for us. He's building our logo, and he came up with the name, and Carl and I absolutely love it, just because it represents exactly what we're trying to portray. And I saw the logo yesterday. It's so sick.
Oh, can't wait to see.
Okay, wait, I'm getting lost. I get distracted very easily.
You were saying about the meaning behind Escape Arc and the name, why you called it Escape Arc.
Oh yeah, just we want artists to be able to be independent of the system. You know, we want them to not have to have 10 million followers before they can get a record deal, and then get a record deal and then sit for 5 years wasting away because there's no budget to put behind them. It's just so unfair that the way that artists are treated. If you are talented enough to be signed by a label and they're signing like left, right, and center, let's say, I mean, this is modest to say that they would sign 30 to 40 artists, throw them against the wall, see what sticks. And then whatever sticks gets the budget, and the rest of them just sit in the system for 5 years, however long they've signed a contract for. The industry is just so segregated, and it doesn't work. It just doesn't work anymore. And I think anyone who's been signed by a record, like a label, or they've been part of the system in some way, shape, or form, they will understand and feel the pain of this themselves. And there's just so much noise out there. So Carl, basically, let me start like from the beginning, just to tell you exactly what it is, because it is very difficult to describe, because there's so many moving parts to it. But basically, if you want to create a new ecosystem, you have to start with education. You have to teach people how they need to be, how the new ecosystem needs to be. Like, so Carl has it's like a 6-step process basically for artists to run their businesses like startup companies, their own artist businesses. So you have to have, I think one of your questions was like, what are the 3 things that an artist has to have?
Yes, yeah.
So one of the things is they have to have a good product. Their songs have to be good. Another thing is they have to have great sales processes, great marketing and branding. They have to know how to scale their businesses. There's a process behind it. Sorry, my phone's ringing. So there's a process behind it. So we said they need to have great product. They need to have great processes in order to market that product. And they need to have great people metrics. And that's fundamentally what we believe. So great people metrics means that they need to be humble. They need to be hardworking. They need to be real people, not egos. We will not work with egos. We cannot tolerate in our system. The music industry is just full of it, and we won't have any of it. It's so boring, and it just doesn't work. Having patience, being collaborative, understanding that everybody has a role. Because, you know, people who make it, they have a whole team of people who are rock stars, you know, whether you're doing PR, whether you're doing the Facebook and YouTube ads, whether you are doing graphic design or the copywriting, all of it we consider as art. So in our ecosystem, every single person is going to be educated from the beginning of, you have to have the right mindset, and then you have to have the right product, and then you have to have the right branding and messaging pillars. You have to have the right marketing and strategies, strategic tools. Then you have to have the right sales processes, like how to get your stuff out there, first of all, but then also when stuff starts coming in, like when people start ordering stuff, how do you get that out there? And then how to scale. Because if you can't scale, you can't make the huge impact that you want to make on the world. So yeah, we have, there's many layers to it, but the way that I like to describe it, and it's probably not as accurate as Carl would say it, because it all exists inside of his head. And I've been working with him for a year now, and I still cannot tell you what the full picture is, because I don't know how in God's name he has figured this out, but he just has, and it's remarkable. But basically, the way that I describe it is, if Sony had to take all of their artists off of YouTube, off of Spotify, off of Apple Music, off of everything, and said to you, in order to view their content, listen to their music, be a part of their journey, you need to come on board to our platform, our Sony platform. And you need to pay a subscription, a monthly subscription. Everyone would do it because ultimately you want to be able to access their merchandise and their tickets and blah, blah, blah. But they wouldn't do that, and they wouldn't be able to do that because it's so fragmented, like I said. Like, it just is. I mean, I'm not going to go into how messed up the music industry is anymore, but basically in our ecosystem, we have authors who are creating the educational content. We have the artists who are consuming the educational stuff, who want to be a part of the ecosystem as well, and they will probably become authors, or they stay artists, and then we have the consumers. So everyone will be a part of this ecosystem, and that's like part of what we're doing is building this playlist network, the Spotify playlist network. Eventually it will be on YouTube and all of the rest of them. But right now we're pooling together a whole bunch of artists, independent artists' money, putting it all into Facebook ads to grow these playlists so that we can get artists the reach that they want to, but it will be properly engaged playlists. You know what I mean? Like Spotify is not even doing this right now. They have their own curated playlists that they update every week, every month, whatever it might be. Some of them are algorithmic, but some of them are actually curated. But they're not, we were having an interesting conversation about this the other day, and I know I'm going off on a rant, but I thought it was quite interesting.
It's relevant.
Yeah, that like when we used to have radio jockeys, they used to say, like, they used to do a lot of the promotion for us. They used to say, listen to this new artist. They're from Berlin. They've been touring with Ed Sheeran, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter what it was, but they used to do a lot of the promoting for the artist. Now there's no pattern disruption. Like if you're listening to a playlist, an artist can have 60 million streams on Spotify and 2,000 followers on Instagram. How often do you see that? There's a huge discrepancy between the two. And that's why one of the great things about what Carl teaches in his Spotify growth automation course is all of the advertising that you're doing is not through Spotify, because that's an isolated platform. It's through Instagram and Facebook. Then therefore everything is getting affected. Your YouTube, your Instagram, your Facebook, everything's going to be going up, as well as your Spotify. But obviously things need to be aligned. You need to have great product. You need to have great branding and messaging, and so on and so forth. So we're teaching artists how to build their businesses like startup companies, and to be independent of the system, and to stop living in fear, and to also just, be a part of a community of people who really care, and people who want to see them grow and thrive. That's why we say that don't just survive, they thrive. So yeah, I hope I did an okay job of
no, that's perfect. And
learning what that is.
And I think it's so cool because we're at a time now where it's definitely, and I think I said this to Stephanie, who was my guest 2 weeks ago, it's really the time for the independent artists. It's really time for them to take things into their hands and go and empower themselves. And it's so great that there's a platform it's awesome that there's Spotify and that there's distribution programs like Ditto and everything that can help the artist, get their music out there, but using social media to do it. And it's so great that you've got people like Carl and yourself who are building platforms and educational platforms. For example, I don't know if people know that, just to let everybody know, one of the educational things that they do, they show you how to grow your Spotify. Am I correct? Your Spotify streams in one of their, I don't know how to explain it, one of their courses.
Yeah, so it's just basically an e-course where it's called Spotify Growth Automation, and Carl teaches you how to build campaigns on Facebook to market your Spotify. It's actually not the specific songs. Some artists do songs, but we see better results with them marketing their actual profile.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's genius. I remember when I heard about it, I was like, that is absolutely brilliant, because a lot of people are sharing maybe their YouTube video, or they're sharing, hey, go to this link, but here, like link straight through to Spotify, if I'm correct. And I mean, I did that with
Yeah.
my Panic Room song, and it was amazing. I saw such great results. So I'll definitely, after this, with the post, share all the links through to that, and also the Spotify playlist, because I think that's also great for artists. And because I know that in the promotion, you also get all the money back. So with all the with all the investment into the playlist, you'll get the same money back.
It's quite a hefty investment. It is, especially for South Africans. It's $2,000 up front, or it's $750 for the 3 months. But how you get the money back is we are guaranteeing 650,000 streams. So you're in the playlist for 3 months, but if you haven't generated the 650,000 streams, you will stay in the playlist until you do. But we are investing the whole 200,000 because we only have 100 people in the playlist campaign, and so we're investing the whole $200,000 into the campaign, and we're using Facebook advertising to drive consumers to those playlists.
Yeah, and I think it's great. As you said, I mean, if you've got the money and you can, or if you can find the money, I think it's great for you to, because I think Spotify playlist, or playlist in general, whichever platform it's on, is the new radio. It's the new radio plugging. It's the new, because that's where everybody consumes all their music. And I think if artists can find a way to grow their Spotify profiles, get their music on a big playlist like you guys have, it's like a way of empowering themselves. And I think, and that's what from everything that I've learned in the books and just chatting to you and chatting to Carl, you guys are all about empowering the artist and empowering the people. I like what you say. There's people, and these people who are signed, there's people on their team that are all rock stars. You get the manager, the merchandise person, like everybody's working. I mean, I've worked on massive concerts for the past 4 years, and you see the collective of people that are almost the unsung heroes that don't you don't get to see what they're all involved in. And that's also what this platform's about, is just bringing out the people like yourself and saying, okay, this is what these people are doing, and if you're an artist, you need to get in touch, or you need to learn from these people. And so thank you for like sharing everything. I think you've got it really in a good nutshell of what you guys do, and that there's so many different streams to it. There's the educational, so if you don't maybe have the money right now, you can go and read up on the different, all of Carl's ebooks and all the other courses. What other courses do you guys have?
So there's one on TikTok, but obviously that's kind of like at bay right now because of what's going on with TikTok. But then Carl's got a whole bunch of strategies. The whole thing is, it's not just the courses. It's like being a part of the community, everybody like we have a Facebook group, and we have almost 500 members now in our community. And everyone every single day is posting about the strategies that they're trying, different videos that they're trying, things that they're doing, what's working, what's not. And Carl and I go live twice a week in there to answer any questions that anybody has. And if anybody's stuck, we just want to help them make as much progress as they can. I think in the last 18 months, Carl's been on an average of 10 video calls a day, 7 days a week for the last 18 months. So I don't know how many video calls that is, but since him and I have started working together, I've joined on almost a lot of those video calls, and it's been so inspiring to see the amount of connections that he's made, and that I've now subsequently made. It's the momentum that's building is just unbelievable, and all of the work that Carl's been doing in the last 18 months, and just continuing to do. And that's what I remember when you started this podcast. I said, I'm so proud of you and well done, but the best piece of advice that I could offer you is just to be consistent no matter what. Even if you go on yourself, like if you can't find a guest, people are still interested in what you have to say, and that you're bringing insane value to the people around you and your community. And that's how we start to make the world a better place, is one individual at a time. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I've missed out. Even when listening to you speak, I was like, oh, I didn't finish the part of my sentence. But I know that you like to keep your podcast quite short.
We've got some time. We've still got some time.
Okay, great.
If you've got some time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So do you want to talk about any of the other questions that you had lined up? Or
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. So, like, I mean, as I said, this platform is about empowering people in any way. So, whether it be a platform for you to tell us all the cool things you're up to, or to say your mental challenges, I suppose, everybody get in the mindset of you. Because I think that it's important when you look at somebody doing something really, really cool, you feel, okay, I don't know if I can do that, or I don't know if I can't, or just kind of that kind of a vibe. So I do want to ask you, so I know that you are an artist. I'm not going to say you were, because I know you still sing. So what has the transition been like from being an artist, wanting to do that, to now working behind the scenes and working with somebody like Carl? Like, do you miss the artist side of things? What made you go over to the business side of things?
I've always had an interest in business. I think that stems from my dad and like the amount of conversations that I had with him about his business, and I've always been entrepreneurial. And I've always known that I want to make a big impact. It's always been a burning desire inside of me. And from the moment I spoke to Carl and I saw how much he inspired me, as an artist, I was like, holy shit, I want to do this. I want to be able to talk to artists and connect with people and have a voice in this arena, to be able to empower other people, because that's where I get that feeds my river. So, and I still consider, like I said, I consider what Carl does art, because he's creative. He is so creative. It's unbelievable. I don't know where, like I said, I don't know where the hell most of these ideas come from, but they just come so simply and so easily, and he puts them together and so I'm learning so much from him, and that just feeds into the art that I make. And like, for me, singing has always just been a passion and a hobby. And like, I did try and pursue a bit of a career, and I tried it, and it really was successful for what it was. Like, we went over to the States, Eden and I think we did 8 different places in the States. We played at South by Southwest. We released an album. It was, we made progress within, I think we did it for about a year. But like I said, my passion doesn't lie there. My passion lies in people. And the work that I'm doing now, it gets me out of bed every single morning feeling fired up and grateful,
Yeah, and I think, I mean, if you look at somebody like Eden, who definitely is an artist and will be an artist, and the passion lies there. I've also had the struggle of, okay, I'm a publicist, I want to work in the music industry, and I'm an artist, and trying to choose one essentially. And so it's really cool that you still sing, and because I know you posted something on social media today. Was it today? I don't think I got to watch it, but I saw that you did. So it's really cool that you're still singing. And I think that what's so awesome is that you can show your hobby on these platforms, but still working with Carl and creating dreams come true for other people. So
I think also it's just a part of, like I said, art is a form of self-expression. And people who follow you on social media don't want to just know about the work that you're doing. We're multifaceted, we human beings, and I think people are interested in seeing who you are as a person. Completely. And my music is a huge part of who I am, so I would never not participate in that just because it like doesn't suit the brand or whatever the hell. That's rubbish for me.
And I think it also probably, if I was an artist signing up with ARC, it would be comforting to know that you are an artist yourself and that you're still singing, because we as artists will always have a soft spot for the artists, so we'll look after them. We're not just going to be like, I'm just here to make money. I actually care. Like, whenever I work with an artist, I work extra hard to make sure that their dreams come true, that they get the publicity they deserve and they desire, because I'm not just trying to make money. I'm doing it because I'm an artist myself, and I would want someone to champion me. So I think that that is probably a huge value to the people you work with, because there's an element of trust that they can build with you.
Yeah, relatability is always key.
Yeah,
absolutely, in everything that we do.
Yeah. So another question I wanted to ask, and I think I asked you this the other day when I saw you, but just so that everybody could hear, because I did like what you said, but it was like I think I said something like, how do you know you carry yourself in a way with confidence that you are deserving, not in an arrogant way, not like but like what does it mean to you to be deserving?
It's a good question. I think the word deserving is like, it's very difficult to actually describe, because what makes someone deserving or not deserving, you know? Like often the people who don't deserve bad things to happen to them have bad things happen to them. So I think I actually said this to Eden, that the metric that we use for deservedness is not a good one, because if hard work and dedication to something was the outcome of success or money, like monetary gains, then like every person in India would be a millionaire, you know. But it's not. So I'm a huge believer in the law of attraction. I really am. I mean, I even have this tattoo on my arm that says, if you believe you deserve it, the universe will serve it. And for me, that is purely the law of attraction. It's like your thoughts are very important, and they basically, I'm just very mindful of the things I say to myself, the things that I want to manifest into my life. And you're asking me like, how do I know that I'm deserving? I don't know how to answer the question. I really don't. Like, it's just, I think I said to you that it stems from my childhood and my mother always being so supportive of me. My parents have been unbelievable. I honestly, I chose very well. I'm impressed with how well I chose, because they always made me feel like I was enough. I deserved enough. You know what I mean? Like so I think a lot of it stems from that, but at the same time, life is what you make it, you know. And so if you, I always say this, whether you say you can or you say you can't, you're right. And I would always rather be well, how does that saying go? An optimist who's wrong rather than a pessimist who's right.
That's so true. That's so true. And your word enough, I've struggled with that. Like, I actually think I had a whole session with my psychologist, like, what does it mean to be enough? And I don't like the idea of enough, because I want to be more than enough. I want to be in abundance. I want all my dreams to come true. And I've always, that's why I ask you, and I ask other questions. What does it mean to be deserving? And because I'd like to hear other people's opinions on it and what makes them believe that they can do it. Because a trend that I've seen over the years is the people that believe that they can, or actually don't care if they can't, they're just doing it regardless, are the ones that are successful. The people that believe in themselves are the ones that are making things happen, and they're doing it regardless. And I think it's really, really cool that you are, I mean, it must have been, I mean, if somebody saw the Hannah's adverts everywhere and see, they would have been like, oh, that's really, really cool. You know, I probably couldn't get in touch with them. I can learn. You reached out and you put it out into the universe, and it delivered. I remember when I first worked, I wasn't even working in concert. I was in a concert. I was like, next year I'm going to be backstage. And it wasn't even it was a local concert. And then the next year I was backstage with an international act. And it was my first international show that I worked. And that was because I didn't care if I couldn't. I didn't know how I was going to do it. And then it just so happened. But the days when I struggled to believe in myself, or struggled to put my foot forward, that's when I remember when I first started Karma, there was such momentum, and I got a guy to do a music video for free. I got everything to come into play. The moment I started doubting myself, it's like the energy, I don't know, just went against me, and I started falling away, and I started, but now I'm back in the momentum, and I'm really making new music, and it feels good, and music that, really resonates with me, and it's the right time, I think. So then back to all of that. So what mental challenges have you faced in your career so far?
Before I answer that, like, what is your interpretation of being deserving?
Yeah, the reason I asked is because I want some ideas. Now, I think that it's a mixture of putting in the work. You can't just sit back and be entitled and say, okay, this is what's going to happen to me. I think it's about putting in the work. And something that I'm coming to realize, and I'm still having very harsh talks with myself, is that do it regardless. Do it regardless. Be in the arena. I think, what's her name? Brene Brown talks about being in the arena. If you're in the arena, you're already 100% there compared to the people who aren't. So I think that's what it is. It's having the bravery to do it. And I mean, I do struggle because, as you say, there's some people who will work their whole life and it'll never happen, or there's some people that bad things will happen. And I do believe that everything happens for a reason. So sometimes things aren't meant for you. There's things that I've wanted in my life that didn't work out, but I look back and I'm like, okay, fair enough. I'm glad that didn't happen that way. And I'm very grateful that it didn't happen. So I think it's a positive mindset. And as you say, be an optimist. I mean, my anxiety sometimes doesn't allow me to be a complete optimist, but teaching yourself. So I'd say that's probably, I'm still learning. And that's why I ask everybody's ideas of it, because this is also a platform for me to learn and for me to get ideas for how people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think also, the word deserving, I deserve this and he didn't deserve that. And it's very ego led.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a manipulation. Like your ego says, well, I'm deserving of this. I've been working for the last 10 years. I deserve to be somewhere that I'm not,
Exactly.
Bullshit. Because the reality is you're not where you are supposed to be. And life is trying to teach you a lesson that you're avoiding learning. So as long as you carry on doing what you're doing, you're not going to get where you want to go because you're resisting. Do you know what I mean? And you busy telling yourself that you're deserving of something. Or when you look at someone else and you say, well, they don't deserve that. What the hell have they done in their life? Those are things that are like, I don't know. That's why I don't like that word.
I agree. I think it is. It's as you said, it's ego-based. It's quite arrogant. As I was asking, I was like, not in an egotistical way or an arrogant way. But I think that is the problem, because if you're in your ego, you're kind of expecting things to fall in your space. But there's so many factors also to life. There's the lessons you need to learn. There's the things that need to take place in order for you to learn those lessons. There's blessings, whether you're grateful for those blessings. I'm sure karma comes into play somewhere along the line. So yeah, I think, it's maybe just a different word or that I need to find to ask. But I do agree. I think deserving.
And it's ironic that I say that because I've got it on my arm. If you believe you deserve it, the universe will serve it. But yeah, like you said, that for me doesn't come. That literally represents the law of attraction for me. That's saying.
Yeah, and I think people are scared. Yeah. But I think people are also scared to believe in the law of attraction. Not scared, but I think they misinterpret it as well. Like, I think they think, okay, if I visualize this, but I think there's a feeling you need to feel. I remember when I was at that festival, I was like, I could feel myself being on the other side. I wasn't just going, okay, I believe it, I deserve it, I'm going to be there. It was this feeling I got. And every time I worked, and then it just grew from there. I went from working small local shows. I did youth parties, and then I ended up, and then I was doing meet and greets with all the local artists. I'm like, this is so cool. And then now I get involved in the meet and greets with the international artists. So I think the feeling in your gut that you need to.
That's a desire. Yeah. Have you read Think and Grow Rich?
I haven't, but Eden says I must, so I think I'm going to.
Like, dude, you have to get on that, like, immediately. Seriously. Okay. So basically in Think and Grow Rich, he says you have to have desire. You cannot teach someone desire. And that's basically finding your purpose. But a lot of people are like, well, what is my purpose? I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know how to find it. Whatever gives you that exact feeling you're talking about, that desire, follow that. That's your intuition trying to guide you to where you need to go. And then from there, he talks about, what does he call it? Auto-suggestion, meaning reaffirming something that you want over and over and over again until your subconscious mind basically takes that on as its own belief system. Because our ego's only job, whether it's right or wrong, is to basically be right, is to and it would take your life for it. People commit suicide all the time, but as long as the ego feels that it's right and it's doing the right thing that it needs to do, it doesn't really care about your life. There's a book called The Untethered Soul, and he says that imagine your mind was outside of your body, like another person. Would you put up with that person for more than 5 minutes? Probably not. I'd
right? Kill her.
Dude, shut up. Seriously, I'm just trying to live my life right now and you're pounding me. Like, just stop. So I started talking to my mind like that, like it was outside of my body almost. Just saying like, listen, I understand your point of view, but I don't necessarily agree with what you're saying right now. And that's how I started to reaffirm things to myself. So I mean, it's a much deeper question, like answer to your question about being deserving, because it stems from having a good mindset, like you said, and understanding how to speak to yourself, because like I said, your thoughts are so powerful and your words are so powerful. But yeah, okay, so what was the next question? Sorry.
We need to have another session on that whole thing.
Yeah.
What mental challenges have you faced in your career, and how have you overcome them?
Well, when you ask in my career, do you mean like now working with Carl, or?
I think anything. I mean, for me personally, mental challenges, kind of whether it's in my music or whether it's in my work. You can apply that if right now it's more relevant to you with your work you're doing with Escape Arc, or whether it was when you were a singer and you're trying to be an artist. Whichever one you want to answer.
I think a lot of us, the most relatable answer I can give you is that that feeling of being found out, you know.
Imposter syndrome.
What happens if everything blows up and imposter syndrome. If everything blows up and everyone's like, who the hell are you? You know, it kind of feeling, I had to put my messaging pillars. This is a good example. So Carl has this strategy on social media where you have to have like 3 main messaging pillars, and then you have sub pillars. So just so that everything's congruent and consistent and people can understand your message, you know, and they know exactly what they're getting from you. So it develops trust and all of the rest of it. But when I was putting my stuff together, I was like, I'm an absolute nobody. Who's going to care about what I have to say? Why should they care? You know, so that started to kick in. I felt like my whole life was crumbling apart because I had to do a messaging pillar.
Yeah.
Task.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but I can just relate.
No, it's so funny. Like, seriously. But it just goes to show, like, how much shit we talk to ourselves, you know. Anyone watching this might be able to relate to that, because they're like, you know, I've tried so many times to like think of something to do because I really want to make an impact. I want to connect with people. But one of the things that I always say, and I think this is so true, is that the thing we often want most is the thing we're unwilling to give. So we want connection, but we like, oh, I'm an artist, I need to be like mysterious, but I want connection with people. The only way to get connection with people is to connect with people. You know, if you like, oh, I want love in my life, well, the only way to feel love or get love is to give love, you know. Yeah, I don't know why I went off on that tangent. But anyway, like, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, completely. And I think imposter syndrome is amongst all my friends, and it's that fear of, as you said, being caught out and everybody going, what are you doing? Who do you think you are? But if there's that fire burning inside of you that's telling you to do something, I think it's worth following. I do believe, and I say this to anybody that I know that's talented and battling with their mental challenges. I'm like, if you're talented and you have this feeling in your gut, you have to follow that. That's a gift. And you have to, if you're talented enough to go and reach out to Carl, and you have the desire to reach out to Carl, and that's the steps that you take, and that you'll be rewarded. I mean, everything I've done has been for passion. I mean, I could have become anything, but luckily my parents were super supportive of anything I did. But I was like, I need to be in the music industry, which is absurd. And everybody, even till this day, is, why are you in the music industry? It's so tough. There's no money. And I'm like, I want to be here, and I will find a way of making money because I like nice things and I like to travel. So I have this desire to, and I think when you have imposter syndrome, it's so many people struggle with that. And so many people struggle with this message in your head going, you're not good enough. Why are you doing this? Who cares what you think? And I think, as you say, training yourself to be on the outside of that and go, because if it was a friend telling you that, you wouldn't keep your friend in your life.
Yeah, exactly. But also, I think it's just like so important to remove yourself from the equation, remove your ego. This is not about you. You're creating art to make an impact on the world. And if you shift your perspective from me, because that's a depressing, miserable place to be, to I want to make a difference in someone else's life. Do you know how rewarding it is when someone messages you, your podcast made a huge difference in my mindset and I've now started a new career, or your music, I listened to your song and it got me through the worst times of my life. holy shit, man, like that is what it's all about. And like for you to be able to express yourself through that medium, whatever it might be, it's an absolute blessing, and we shouldn't take it for granted. You know, I even said this to Eden the other day. She is the most phenomenal pianist. I would give my left tit to play the piano like her. No, honestly, I would.
She's amazing.
And she often just says, "Oh, I feel like I can't play," or what, because she's comparing herself to people who play like classical pieces and they've been practicing for the last 40 years of their life. Like, why? That makes absolutely no difference. Like, we are so blessed, and we should really not take for granted the gifts that God has given us, or the universe, whoever you want to say. I hate using that word because it's got so many like attached negative connotations towards it, but you have been given gifts. It's your obligation to fulfill that. And I know that a huge gift of mine is connecting people or connecting with people and relaying this message of Carl's and being of a support to him. Like, I feel like I'm a soundboard of his, you know. So I'm using my gifts, and I want to encourage everybody else to do the same. And please, like, if you feel stuck in your life, reach out to me, reach out to Tam, reach out to Eden, reach out to anybody who's a part of this community.
We speak so much about Eden on this. Nobody's met her yet. I need to actually do a proper.
Gotta bring Eden on.
Oh well, because you're this chick.
I often on my podcast as well, I'm like, you know, Carl, I was saying to Tam the other day, I'm like, oh, I was saying to Eden the other day, and everyone's probably like, who the hell
these mystery people?
I don't care if they want to know, they must ask.
Yeah.
But please reach out. Like, we all human beings, we all want to connect with one another and uplift each other, and it's a privilege to be in a position where we can do that. And it's just it's amazing, and it's all love and light. And I hope to hear from people from your community, and I hope that my community reaches out to you as well.
That'll
like
be awesome.
Vice versa.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing. I'll definitely have you on again, and Carl. I'll have Carl probably September when Women's Month is over. But thank you so much for sharing everything to do with Escape Arc. I keep wanting to say Arc Animal Center because but thank you so much.
That's a pretty good too.
No, it's fabulous. I love that place. But thank you so much for sharing your ideas of things, and I'll share all of the Escape Arc information and all the really cool things that you guys are doing. I really do believe in it, and I'm so excited. And obviously, as you guys release stuff, I'll share everything on my platform.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Okay, cool. I'll chat to you soon.
I mean, me, but I mean, Carl's here in spirit.
Yeah, we spoke about him and he didn't have there, basically. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, cool. Thanks so much. Bye.